It's Debbie Potts, and I'm back to do a solo episode once again on how you can improve our metabolic health, body composition, and, of course, improving the aging process by testing and not guessing what you, as a unique individual, could be doing to improve the future you.
Welcome to the Low Carb Athlete Podcast, where we focus on discussing topics to help you burn fat, optimize health, and improve performance in life and sports. Transform the whole you from the inside out with the holistic method. Let's dive in. Here's your host, Debbie Potts.
Hey, are you an aging athlete? Are you over 40 and struggling to get your desired results? I understand your frustrations. If you're like me, you're trying to get your running back or your cycling back or whatever sport you love to do, and you just can't figure out what's missing in your performance gains. How is your training and fueling program working for you? That's what I do. I personalize your nutrition and health program for you based on a bunch of different things. We collect data, collect clues from nutritional therapy assessment, from a food log with symptoms. Look at your genetics. If you've done something as DNA fit, look at blood chemistry panels. Let's look at functional lab tests as a Vibrant Wellness wheat zoomer to test if you have leaky gut and sensitivity to wheat, peptides in foods. Look at food sensitivity labs. And Dutch tests, look at your hormones. So we look at all these hidden internal sources of chronic stress that may be impacting your ability to burn fat, improve performance, and longevity. So if you want to talk about how we can personalize your fueling, training, and performance plan, let me know. Set up a discovery call. Head to my website, debbiepotts.net, and reach out. Set up a call and we can chat about how I can help you be the best version of yourself. So you can stop blaming the aging process and instead change your mindset that you're embracing the change, that we train differently in our 40s and up versus what you did when you're 20, 30-year-old. We need to adjust how we eat, when we eat, why and how, but also match our nutrition with our exercise program and add some more health building lifestyle habits into our day. I call this all the holistic method comprehensive coaching program, where I work on individualizing clients' nutrition, exercise, stress reduction, sleep, movement, time outside, digestion and gut health, hydration, and my favorite, happiness, play, and laughter. So if you want to know more how you can be your best self, live your best life, and perform your best, head to debbiepotts.net, schedule a discovery call with me, and we can get started on your new health building journey. You can be that amazing athlete and stop blaming the aging process. As I continue to share my journey, my experiments as I age as an endurance athlete, over age 50 somehow already, the time's going by very quickly, and I'm on a mission not to blame the aging process, as I share all the time. Embrace the aging process by changing how we fuel, train, and perform every day in life to move, feel, and look our best. So if you are on a personal mission as myself, you may be interested in recreating yourself today so you can be the best version of yourself 20, 30 years from now. So let's start creating who we are later in life by creating our future self today. So let's dive into some ways you can test and not guess how you should fuel, train, and perform now. So let's go into metabolism, metabolic health, and more as I continue down this journey and sharing what I'm learning with you. All right. Do you know metabolic testing can help determine what your metabolic rate is, your VO2 max, your fat burning rates, at rest and during exercise at various intensities, as well as your biological age. Without doing math, it's actually testing and not guessing what your metabolic health is today. And if you could work with someone as myself doing metabolic testing that will actually look at your blood chemistry assessment, nutritional therapy clues with signs and symptoms, as well as a food, mood, and exercise log, and correlate all that data together, and then create a personalized program for you to figure out how to fuel and train and perform daily life activities the best that you can do, because we are all unique. So you can listen to all the podcasts, read all the blogs, all the stuff in social media, but it's not a one-size-fits-all approach. We need to look at your external stressors and ideally identify your hidden sources of internal stress by revealing what's going on under the hood and investing in your health with functional lab testing, as I can order for you on Rupa Health, and look at something as a GI map, a stool test, or Genova Diagnostics 3-day stool test. And there's some other ones out there that I'm looking at, even by a local company in San Diego called Flora and Sun Genomics. They're doing another type of test and getting good information about your gut health, but also creating a personalized probiotic based on your lab results. So ideally, we want to collect all this information, then figure out what you should do, but change and course correct as you go. So if you have not been varying your training schedule, your nutrition plan, your eating window, fasting window, all the supplements you might need to kind of mix stuff up. Variability is key. Not doing the same thing over and over and over again, expecting different results. So if what you're doing now is not working and you're not getting the desired results that you're trying to do all this work for, well, let's stop, pause, and reset. So if you could do some testing, it does cost money. So a lot of us could just rearrange our budget, our expenses, not eating out as much, not going out for coffee every day, getting your coffee and food at home, making your own meals is even healthier for you. You don't get all the toxic vegetable oils that you do in a restaurant, and start saving money. Put a little money away every week for your health optimization savings account, because your health is your wealth. And if you are not doing what you love to do as you get older, well, that's not really fun. If we're not happy, we want to find gratitude and joy every day, laughter, loosening up, having a good time in life, but being healthy from the inside out. And that involves taking care of the whole you now, not wait until you're sick. And I see that as I share every episode, watching my dad pass away last year, and I'm really more motivated to just look at how our medical system treats people. It's so frustrating when you lose a parent and see how I don't even want to go through it, but how the doctors treat you when you're in the hospital and they don't even move you, and the food that they eat, and they don't even try to think once you're a certain age that you're even going to make it. It's like, screw you. It's end of your lifespan. So let's, move you out. You're done. And so I think it's even more important for us to be fit and healthy from the inside out. And I think this journey we're all on is something we can somewhat control. It's epigenetics. Our genes are not our destiny. We can change things. And just because you're exercising every day doesn't mean you are metabolically healthy, because a lot of endurance athletes, triathletes, ultra runners, ultra endurance people, we're not doing all the right things to take care of our future self. So today I wanted to dive into a little bit more about metabolic health and how finding someone to do a PNOE metabolic test, or someone locally that does a metabolic assessment at rest and during exercise, is really going to be helpful to improve your body composition, your metabolic health, your performance markers, longevity, your biological age. So your metabolism isn't just the calories you burn. It's all the vital functions your body runs to use oxygen to keep you alive. Now, Pinoy is what I use, so you can come to Solana Beach, North County, North San Diego, and enjoy a beautiful location in Del Mar, Solana Beach. I'm testing at 2 different clinics. Now, then you can go walk on the beach afterwards. Pinoy scans your oxygen, or measures your oxygen consumption in and your carbon dioxide out. And that error that we're analyzing can give us a lot more clues besides just your volume of oxygen. But we're also measuring your metabolism, your fat to carb fuel source, and analyzing your breathing, your breath analysis. So we want to identify limiters. What are you doing not enough of now? What are you doing too much of? And these other areas are a little bit of a limiter to reaching your full potential. And we want to retest every 3 months and then restructure a new program for you. So we want to identify those limiters that might cause more of a risk for your health and performance. So it's a science-based metabolic analysis. So what do we look at? Biological age, not eggs. We analyze your biological age as well as how long and how well you are estimated to live. According to the American Heart Association, which the guidelines are kind of iffy for a lot of us, but the test provides the most reliable and accurate measure of longevity and mortality risk by measuring your VO2 max. Metabolism in cells. We can analyze how fast or how slow your metabolism is, determine your optimal calorie intake for your goal, and measure how efficiently your cells burn fat and carbohydrates at rest and during exercise. So we can see your metabolic efficiency and metabolic flexibility. Are you able to switch back to fat after you're burning carbohydrates? So that's something I can do in a follow-up test and do a 3 to 5 minute stage test. So this information reveals your risks for metabolic disorders as type 2 diabetes, but that's just showing us in Pinoy test, are you burning fat or carbs at rest? And so that'll be a big clue, but even more, validate that clue towards metabolic health if we do your body composition testing and a full blood chemistry panel that's measuring the markers of insulin, A1C, and inflammatory markers, as well as I like to look at people's cholesterol panel in a different perspective in functional medicine. You can listen to in a different podcast episode I did on blood chemistry panel, and looking at your full thyroid panel and looking at your inflammatory markers at CRP, and as well as vitamin D. So we want to look at all these other markers. But we can see, are you burning carbohydrates at rest? That's a big red flag for insulin resistance, which can lead to type 2 diabetes, which is irreversible by fueling, eating differently, and exercising differently. So we're also looking at your fat burn and recovery. We're analyzing how effectively your cells use oxygen, how well your cells burn fat as a fuel source, and even carbohydrates for that fact at higher intensities. So how well do you fuel at different intensities, but also how effective are you at clearing the fatigue metabolites during exercise? So up when we go zone 3, zone 4, zone 5, what happens to your body, to your recovery, and how well are you doing that? We can measure during the exercise test. Now, we can also measure the function of your heart and lungs in a way that we're analyzing your cardiovascular and lung fitness. The metabolic test by Pinoy is a gold standard, accurate way to understand how these vital organs, your heart and lungs, impact your health and well-being. Your lung fitness is measured on the Pinoy report. It's evaluated through 4 distinct metrics that paint the most complete picture of how fit your lungs are and how well you utilize them. So when we do the resting test and the exercise test, we give you a very long report that I think means nothing to the client unless you have a good coach that knows how to interpret the results, assess the results, and then use that information collected. These are more clues in our program for you that we will design based on your assessments, not just the PNOE metabolic test, but intake forms, nutritional therapy, as I said, the food and mood log, all that information we can collect. So we're getting the heart and lungs measured, but also brain and posture. Would you believe it is kind of measured in a roundabout way in a metabolic test at rest and during exercise, because we're also, remember, measuring your breathing, your breath analysis. So if you are hyperventilating, that is a sign that we need to look at how is your brain health in other measurements, but that gives us a clue to investigate brain health. Further information will need to be collected, but if we see some breathing imbalances or how you breathe can impact your cognitive performance, as well as posture issues can be identified. So we can correlate the test results from PNOE. If you are not breathing effectively, if we have any signs and symptoms of lower back pain, thoracic spine issues, you're not able to take a full breath in without discomfort. And so we're looking at musculoskeletal health. So breathing, of course, is the most vital function for maintaining high levels of brain activity. And hyperventilation would also be something we want to improve by assigning breath exercises. So breathing classes you can see all over. So breath work, there is a purpose to it. We need to be able to breathe properly. Also, seeing a physical therapist or chiropractor or a personal trainer that can help you with mobility drills and strength for your thoracic spine, for your core, for your posture muscles. If you're kyphotic, really bent over from all that time at a desk and running poorly, hunched over, bike riding is horrible for our posture. So really working on a mobility, flexibility, and strength training to improve your posture, which will help your breathing. So we can get some clues on all that just from a simple metabolic test. So nutrition. How can we use PNOE metabolic testing to help you with nutrition? Now, I think, again, it's just one little piece of information that can be combined with the nutritional therapy assessment, with functional lab test, as a leaky gut test, as a food zoomer, food sensitivity test, a micronutrient test. So we can really dive into spending more money on labs or do some just simple food and mood log and see, how do you feel? Very simple, but learning how to assess, take inventory is really unique, a challenge for most people. So we can look at a resting metabolic test, which is only 10 minutes, but we can get this information from the PNOE metabolic test. Your calories. How many calories do you need per day at rest with daily activity and then with your predicted amount of exercise? So we analyze how fast or how slow your metabolism is. Again, it's a clue, but we can determine your optimal calorie intake based on your biology and fitness goal. Of course, I would look at someone's, again, blood chemistry panel, their insulin and glucose over time. Also a full thyroid panel, because that will give us clue. A lot of people have low thyroid, and that's on many other episodes. But if you have low thyroid and you're taking thyroid supplement, you're probably not addressing why is your thyroid low. So we want to always look at why something is not functioning, not balanced. So imbalance, dysfunction, dis-ease. We want to bring everything back to balance in the body's own innate intelligence to bring our body back into balance and restore our vitality. So doing the metabolic test, yes, tells us our calories, estimated calorie intake we need, but I think it's an important clue we collect on how fast or slow your metabolism is at rest and during exercise. Also, your macros. We all want to know about our macros, but the metabolic test can analyze how effectively your cells are burning fat and carbohydrates to determine the optimal macronutrient intake for your biology and your fitness goal. Now, I am all about eating your protein goals, not focusing on fat as we always did more keto, but I find as aging, we need to really work super hard to hit those protein goals of 100 grams or more per day. So hitting your ideal body weight into grams of protein is challenging, but at least we can get 100 grams a day, because that's super hard as well. Especially if you've only been doing 1 or 2 meals, it's really difficult to get 100 grams of protein. So you have to plan ahead, as I've been doing. I just made some ground beef with some garlic and seasoning and some little bit of red sauce and olive oil. And not olive oil, I cooked it in bacon fat that I saved and use that for my cooking oil. But it's work. I have to keep planning ahead and timing my nutrition, because I'm going to swim in an hour, master swim class today. And I worked out a little bit this morning, so I need to time when I eat so I get that post-workout protein. And then I need to allow time to digest my food properly before I swim, or else I am having problems keeping my food down in the pool. That's not good. So timing your nutrition, figuring out your macros, figuring out how many calories you may need a day is really important. We can collect some of that data from the metabolic test. Again, correlate that ideally with a body composition analysis. So looking at your lean mass and your fat mass, and then looking at the food and mood log, metabolic typing, and lab testing. So workout nutrition, we can analyze the rate in which we burn fat and carbohydrates during exercise at various intensities. This way we can determine your optimal nutrition before, during, and after exercise. So really important for people that are peak performers looking to get an edge on their fellow competitors and do well in their age group, racing, and maybe just racing yourself or training for your future self, as I am. Food types. So we can determine the part of your body that's hindering your health and performance and find some different foods that may be helpful to fix it. So I use this clue from Pinoy Metabolic Test, but really look at your nutritional therapy assessment. That is 309 questions that correlate to your body function as liver, detox, small intestine, large intestine, adrenal dysfunction, thyroid, and many other categories. Also, we look at nutrition timing, determining the meal timing that regulates hunger levels, minimize sugar spikes, and maximize training benefits. So when you do the test, ideally people continue on. I do a 6-month program that's accountability. So you're tracking your food and exercise, and it's just $300 a month, $297. And I'm checking in your training peaks, or I use Practice Better and Chronometer, so you can track your nutrition. And you might not want to do that for 6 months, but we keep kind of adjusting and testing as we go your glucose and looking at how you feel. How's your mood? How's your energy? How's your motility? How is your workout performance? So we can identify a lot of your nutrient timing and what to eat, when, why, and how, if we look at how is your performance in your sports, your workouts, and your daily life, as well as your sleep. How's your sleep level? Because that will be changing if you eat too close to bed and eat the wrong foods. Okay, fat loss. Fat loss, of course, a metabolic slowdown is the reason why 9 out of 10 diets fail. And breath analysis can provide us this gold standard for measuring our metabolism and determining the nutrition exercise that aligns with your biology. Rehabilitation, we can use metabolic testing to help us figuring out, as I said, the skeletal muscular injuries by looking at how you breathe. So a breath analysis provides the gold standard in assessing breathing mechanics and readiness to exercise post-injury. And I think I'm going to be hopefully working with, it's called Deep End Fitness. It's pretty much CrossFit underwater. And they do that in North San Diego. It's pretty big. And I know Laird Hamilton and Gabby Reese, they have their workout programs is underwater, and it's a lot of breath work you need. So you have to do these crazy exercises that look amazingly challenging and kind of appealing but scary at the same time, but you're holding your breath underwater while you're holding weights. I might try it, but I'm not very good at not breathing. I'm good at breathing. I'm not good at not breathing. Okay, so longevity is, of course, something we're looking at with the gold standard of assessing your biological age and determining risk of chronic conditions as heart and lung disease. And that's a big thing that Peter Tia and other Huberman and people are talking about VO2 max testing. So we can check out your longevity, of course, looking at all the metabolic health markers that we've talked about in other episodes, but looking at a VO2 max test as Pinoy metabolic assessment during exercise. And I was saying in another episode that not everyone wants to do a max test, so you might need to do a submax and get what we can, see where you are at lower heart rate. So Pinoy metabolic testing, I think, obviously I'm a big fan. I made the huge investment this year in just building this new business up in North San Diego, but I'm taking it to Kona with me during Christmas and hopefully Lava Man in March. And next year, October, I'll be there for Ironman Hawaii, the men's race. And I love metabolic testing. I love testing and not guessing and really figuring out what a person needs to do, because we need to know what those numbers are so we can figure out how to create the best program for you and then retest and course correct. So the exercise test is finding your optimal heart rate training zones, your peak fat burning zone, anaerobic threshold, so to speak, it's not the ideal word anymore to say anaerobic threshold, lactate threshold. It's changing your fuel sources. So you'll hear in other episodes I did on Pinoy metabolic testing heart zones. Listen to that one on my YouTube channel about heart zones and fuel sources used. So your fuel system will change during higher intensities. So there's not aerobic threshold and anaerobic threshold, so to speak. It's more changing what fuel source you're using at different heart rates. So looking at rest and metabolic tests for your nutrition, your metabolism rest, your fat to carb burning, and then the metabolic test, we're doing the VO2, we're looking at your metabolic crossover point, your heart rate training, heart and cellular fitness, and more. So you can read more on my blog, How Do You Test Your Metabolism at Rest and During Exercise, looking at what is metabolism, why is it important to have high metabolism, what can cause my metabolism slow down, age, nutrition, your training. So I think metabolic slowdown doesn't have to happen. I think to change your body composition, improve your performance, if you want to get leaner and stronger and faster as I get older, is my goal, not get slower, fatter, and feeling tired all the time, is to do a metabolic test and do your blood chemistry panel. And I for sure would do a GI test, because knowing what's going on in your gut is amazing to help figure out, why do you have cravings? Why are you craving so much sugar? Do you have candida yeast overgrowth? Because the yeast overgrowth will cause you to crave more carbs, more sugar. So if you have these intense cravings, it might just not be you having no willpower. It's what you're hosting in your microbiome. So you want to get your gut bacteria balanced and get rid of the overgrowth bad guys. And we want to outnumber the bad guys with the good guys. So that's why this flora testing I'm interested in. So metabolic slowdown, we want to change by testing and not guessing. And looking at how you can get a test, I think, is really important. And we can talk more if you want to do a test here in San Diego. Message me at debbiepotts.net, or find someone, just Google search who is doing testing near you, and you can take the test and they'll give you the report, but I can do the coaching session and assessments that I do here or online. You can be anywhere. So hopefully that gives you some information. I think what I'd conclude with is the testing and not guessing, your resting and your exercise tests, doing the nutritional therapy assessment. If you can, spend some money on functional lab testing. That will even be more of a good investment in your health and longevity. And then let's figure out how your exercise program should look for this month. And looking at, for women, if you're pre or postmenopausal, what changes you should do. And I see a lot of people at the gym when I go in the morning doing the same thing every day. And I see men and women training not the most efficiently. And I think the hardest part is getting to the gym, especially, the 5 o'clock hour in the morning that I'm going. That's why I just feel that we need to get a coach once in a while to spend money on a coach to help figure out, okay, what should you do when you go to the gym? What should you do when you get on your bike, or when you go run or go for a hike, swim? Let's figure out what is your ideal workout program for the week. If you're doing a 2-week block, 1-week recovery week, postmenopausal women, Female cycling, you want to match your workouts with your menstrual cycle, looking at late luteal phase as your recovery week. Men, we just want to mix it up. So, maybe build in that recovery week. But I think figuring out how much HIIT work, how much sprint training should you do, how much zone 2 or tempo training should you do is going to vary. I can't say how much you should do. Should you work out in all zones? Should you do strength training 5 reps, 3 to 6 reps, or should you do 10 to 12 reps? It depends where you are starting. So I work where people are now, and let's figure out a base, build a foundation if you haven't yet, and then let's figure out where to focus on. Where should your energy go? Maybe we should just focus on getting your sleep hygiene routine, your sleep structure. Focus on that first, because if you're not sleeping or prioritizing sleep, it's going to impact your recovery and repair and your energy throughout the day. So sometimes I'll focus on sleep before I do nutrition or exercise or stress management. So we have to pick one area of what I call the holistic method, which is nutrition, exercise, sleep, stress management, movement, mobility, and that would include morning sunshine. And then we've got gut health, digestion. So we'll find out stuff of inflammation, red flags with our intake forms. And then hydration. Are you drinking water? I see these guys walking around with water jugs in the gym, but I just want to tell them, do you have any electrolytes in there? Are there any minerals? Are you just washing everything out? So you need to have mineral balance, hydration with mineral balance. And then the 8th element is happiness, gratitude, play, laughter, having fun. I think we're high performing individuals with a little tendency to be type A, AAA, and that's how I used to be. Now I really make sure I have positive energy, positive attitude, positive vibes, and help share that, smile and say hi to everyone I see and bring joy. Other people that are too serious, and I used to be that way. So really focus on being resilient and improving the whole you from the inside out, being able to have fun and not be so serious and so strict and so uptight that we need to probably look at your adrenal profile to see if you're a little too worked up. But that's how I used to be for years. And now I know why, because I was probably high cortisol, and then you're a little hyped up all the time, and then low cortisol. So a Dutch test is helpful, and going with the GI map, micronutrients. But for sure, maybe just do a blood chemistry panel and get from your doctor, ask for a full thyroid panel, look at the whole picture in functional ranges. Don't depend on those doctors' normal ranges based on sick, unhealthy people. We are fit and active people with hopefully the motivation, the drive to be the best version of myself that I can be today and my future self. So don't settle for the normal ranges that your doctor gave you and everyone's going to be, oh, I'm healthy, there's nothing wrong. That's not true. We want to look at being a health optimizer, take all this information, put it into the high performer levels where you want to be your best self. So you strive to be amazing as you age. Okay, that was the rest of my soapbox. So figure out how much cardio, zone 2, how much HIIT training per week, how much sprint interval training, how much plyometrics jump training do you need, strength training, that's resistance training, heavy weights if you've been doing workouts for a while, core training, mobility training. How to figure that out in a workout can be complicated. So hopefully that gives you some information, and if you need to schedule a call to figure out how to get started coaching with me, that is an option. I'm not making you get a discovery call, but there's lots of good and free information on my website. So grab some of those ebooks that are sitting there, debbiepotts.net, and hopefully we can get some people together to do a group coaching program in the new year. So until then, let's work on personalizing what we are doing today, recreating ourselves so we can be the best version of ourselves when we are 80, 90 years old. All right. Thank you. Have a great day. Hey, my fellow aging endurance athletes, just a reminder, if you like what you listened to today, make sure to share this episode with your community. Head to debbiepotts.net to set up a free discovery call to learn more about my personalized coaching programs, especially if you are on a mission as myself to improve the aging process and start training to be my best self when I am 80, 90 years old. So I am on a mission to live my best life and be my best self the second half of my life. So if you're on the same mission as me, head over to my website and YouTube channel to learn more ways to improve the whole you from the inside out with the holistic method. All right, we're not actually over. I wanted to add on a little bit more information about how to improve your body composition, because the first part, the main chapter of the podcast episode today, I wanted to focus on testing your metabolism to figure out what should you do. HIIT training, resistance training, more zone 2 training, how much should you spend in each area? And then nutrition, how many calories do you need a day, and your macros. So focusing on protein prioritization, yes, we want at least 100 grams a day, starting with your first meal of the day and spreading out your doses, say 50 grams, 3 meals, or 2 meals in a shake, or 2 meals, a shake, and some essential amino acids. We might need to do that because it is so hard for me to hit my protein goal. And I'm really sharing my meal ideas. I'm not a chef. I'm not a fancy cook. I just, simple is easy. So having some ground beef I made today with some seasoning and a little bit of red sauce, and having what I do the other day, hard-boiled eggs and avocado mashed together with some bacon and leftover tri-tip. So, making extra meal prepping, getting leftovers, and figuring out creative ways how to make a meal. So I've been sharing that on my Instagram stories if you want to learn more. Now, how should you train? I've talked a lot about this for women and men, but really focusing on how to get the right type of training in every week. And then pre-workout, we'll talk about in an upcoming episode. If you need that 5 grams of creatine, some caffeine, do you need some ketone esters as HVMN? How about some essential amino acids pre-workout, about 10 grams? And some people talk about adding half teaspoon of sodium bicarbonate. And then post-workout, what do you need? I know this past podcast I did on amino acid a couple years ago, essential aminos, and looking at some information on pre-workouts as keto gains and some strength workouts, adding the creatine and glycine, leucine, and aminos. And then keto gains, we've talked about them. I was just going to ask them to come on the show again, but the targeted ketogenic diet and carb timing and all that nutrition part for athletes, how to improve your workout so you can get stronger, you can get more power, and we can get more speed in our workouts by spending more time in the gym or at your home gym or outside doing resistance training. So what you do is really important, and how you should change how you're training as you age for men and women, but especially if you've been doing the same workout over and over again and you're not getting results. So mix it up every month, do a new program. And then pre-menopausal women, where we want to look at your menstrual cycle and mapping out your cycle and figuring out where to adjust your reps and sets and HIIT training and when to take it easy. I've done a podcast on that, and I have a whole Training Peaks program I wrote out, and I did a little PDF on mapping out your cycle, and there's a whole ebook on my website on mapping out your cycle. And I think some of it I might have changed my opinion on the fasted exercise as I learn more for us older female athletes, pre-menopausal versus peri and postmenopausal, and someone that's doing a lot of exercise. We don't want to do extended fasting. And what should you do in the gym? So pre-workout, post-workouts, you can get those essential aminos as I do ketone aminos. I don't like the drink mix. Adding creatine post-workout, getting that whey protein shake with creatine. I am going to order more of Brad Kearns and asking him for a discount code, but you can buy it more easily on Amazon. Is Brad Kearns B-Rad whey protein. That's excellent, very clean, and has no added junk, and it has the vanilla. I haven't tried the chocolate, but I don't really like chocolate as much as vanilla bean. You always have to read the ingredients because so many of these different protein drinks I'm looking at have a lot of junk. So post-workout, we want to get that 20, 30 grams of protein, and you definitely don't feel like eating after a workout. So having quick and easy to digest water mixed with protein is, I think, easiest way, or get at least amino acids, and then wait to have your meal when you feel like eating. So that's the supplementation part, but what to do in the gym. So we know women, based on Dr. Stacy Sims' book Next Level and her book Roar. For females, she talks about 3 pillars of training essential for power: heavy lifting to maximize their strength, plyometrics to train our muscles to have explosive power as needed when we need it, and sprint interval training, sit, applying strength to speed. And each of these are especially good for women in menopausal transition and beyond. But what do you see in the gym? What do I see in the gym are men and women doing the same workout over and over again, not challenging themselves and wasting a lot of time just doing, I would adjust their workouts a little bit. And I think it's important for us endurance athletes to adjust your weekday workouts, get that minimal effective dose in the gym, and then switch up your swim, bike, and run workouts if you're a triathlete or runners, and do a little different type of workouts. Less is more, quality over quantity, get rid of the volume, and then just do a long run on this Sunday or Saturday and do a long bike ride if you're doing that still, as I do, because I like it. It's not great for me. It doesn't give me a lot of benefits for my goals of increasing power, speed, and improving body composition, but it does check off the box of happiness, joy, spending time in the outdoors, doing the things you love to do. You can still do that. And I'm not training for any races. I just do this because I like staying fit and healthy, and it feels good to be outside in the fresh air. So less is more on the cardio training, and focus more on lifting heavy stuff, SHIT. During menopause, Stacy Sims talks about we lose strength building stimulus from estrogen, and estrogen is essential for regulating satellite cell function in females. It helps us regenerate muscle stem cells, which are satellite cells because they appear to orbit the muscle fiber cells. That's why they're called satellite cells. So these help us maintain our muscles. But when we take estrogen away, well, our ability to regenerate these cells drops a lot. So that's why we need to adjust, ladies, how we train, and stop blaming, oh, I'm getting older, I'm getting fatter. Instead, look at what are you doing for your workouts, and what are you eating, when are you eating, and why are you eating enough too, and how's your stress and how's your sleep. And are you taking any adaptogens? What are your supplements? So we want to look at adding heavy weightlifting, maybe swapping out another cardio workout, and do more time in the gym. Say 30 minutes is all you need. So women, when we are perimenopause and postmenopause, you really want to shift your focus on resistance training, as well as men. I think all of us aging need to swap out the endurance training workouts for some more resistance training, and add what the other part of the workouts we'll call plyometrics, jump training, and then the interval training. So with the strength training, especially aging females, we want to do 3 to 5 sets, 6 reps or fewer, with a full rest, 2 to 5 minutes between sets, with really good form. And those last few reps, you can't do another one. Like I was doing the hammer strength chest press machine. It's with plate loaded equipment. And I got to 2.5 reps and that I couldn't lift it, but I tried. And so that's when I know that's a good weight for me. So we don't want to start with this, right? We want to build a foundation. So we don't just start doing sprints, or we don't start doing heavy lifting without building a foundation first, right? Building a house, you got to build that foundation, get the structure up, and then you start layering in the heavier stuff. Now, we want good form and good mechanics, and so we want to do more foundational training, core training, mobility training. So Stacy Sims, her background was in CrossFit, and she likes more of the, which I know this research shows, the big lifts as deadlifts, squats, and lunges. But I'm not a big bar person. Olympic lifts, they do spread the force out among your major muscles and connective tissue and joints. So I just do the barbell on my back and do some squats, though I need some physical therapy to get my legs firing, because I cannot lift anything more than that, because my muscles, neuromuscular system is broken, needs repairing. So adding in some strength training, as with the bar, deadlift, the free weights, kettlebells, those are really good. I like deadlifts, squats, lunges, but also remember we want all planes of motion. So lateral, side lunges, cross back lunges, walking lunges, hit all the different angles, good direction. Now, as we age, we also want to add in jump training. And you can see this in your parents and your family, friends, and relatives. As people get older, what happens? They lose strength and they lose balance, and they are not able to step up and over. They're not able to move quickly. But you watch everything that happens as you get older, and it's all controllable. So that's what always gets me fired up, that, okay, yes, this happens as we get older, but does it have to happen? What is it happen? Why is it happening? It's because people don't train that way as they get older. They're not in the gym. They're sitting there riding the bicycle, and they're walking on the treadmill. They're not doing what we really need to do, these heavy lifts and plyos. So what is jump training? So I add plyometrics into my workout. I do not count plyometrics for me as a high heart rate exercise, because I'm not getting to my 160, 170. It is challenging my bone mineral density. So plyometrics, or bone or power training, stimulates the pushing off against gravity and landing back down softly. These help our bone health and muscles. So what Stacy Sims says in her blogs that I'll put on my show notes, that the impact, big or small, that generate important physiological changes. So they help build bone, as we discussed, which help what women lose during menopause transition. Is there, you hear bone loss as we get older. So here's a good solution: bone loss, do some power training. And you can do this in the pool. You can do rope slams. You can do ball slams. You can do speed skaters. You don't have to just do box jumps that are very challenging. You can just do box jumps, kind of mimic that in the pool. I do tech jumps in the pool, and they're very less impact. So plyometrics, Dr. Sims says, trigger epigenetic changes, which means changes in your genes. When you do plyometrics, you wake up some otherwise very quiet genes. Now, not your genes that you're wearing, G-E-N-E-S, not J-E-A-N-S, quiet genes inside your muscle cells that stimulate those cells to improve power and even the composition of the muscle itself in a way that improves the integrity of the muscle, the contractile strength, and its response and reaction time. So this is what jump training or plyometrics will do for us. They also improve our mitochondria function. Big word we keep talking about, mitochondria health. And I just did a podcast recording on NAD supplementation and talked to the people at MitoPure. Mitochondria health is really essential to aging. So mitochondria function and insulin sensitivity are benefited from plyometrics, which of course are important for us aging individuals, and especially the menopausal female, which I always hate now saying menopause, because the silly words that we are given, it's, remember, menopause is one day that after 1 year of not having your period, someone decided that is menopause. You are now menopause. And the next day after that, remember, I say this every time, so you should know this by now, you're postmenopause. So menopause is 1 day. So every time I say the word menopause, it always drives me nuts. Someone created this definition of menopause. Okay, so simple squat jump. Now, I was doing this in between my chest press, bench press today. If you do squat jumps, I just did 10 of them and to add some little rotations that we used to call snowboarder jump squats. So you can simply squat, jump, feet are wider than shoulder width, feet turned out a little, extend your arms in front of you, squat down, arms go behind you, your butt drops down below knee level, ideally, and quickly extend your legs and jump into the air. Land softly, immediately dropping into another squat. Repeat 8 to 10 times, 1 set, work up to 2. So for me, my workout right now, I am really trying to work on this aging female athlete protocol, adding in my plyometrics when I do my heavy lifting. Technically, I'm not doing the 2 to 5 minute rest between sets. I'm doing plyometrics, and I did some seated bench V-sits and some planks. So I'm not doing the full rest, but it was enough to go back to bench press and be able to hit 2, 3, 4 reps. Now, the benefits of HIIT training, high intensity interval training, and sprint interval training are the sprints that we want to do, especially for the female aging athlete. But I think men who've done endurance athletic training programs still need to get all this too. So I'm not talking just for female. This is the research for females a little bit more on my podcast because I've been doing Dr. Stacy Sims' course, and she's not studying men because all the other studies are done in men, not women. So she's trying to focus just specifically on the women or the female athlete. Now, sprint interval training, this is if you want to maintain your top end. You need to train your top end. And what have I been feeling myself as an athlete last few years? My top end is not there. So that's why me personally, for my current program, I am focusing on more intervals and less of my zone 2 workouts because I am lacking strength, power, and speed and that top end effort. I am good at endurance athletic training because I've done that for, what year is it? Let's see. I started doing Ironmans in 2001. I started doing marathons in 2000, and I started doing shorter triathlons and cycling long distance events in 1995. So 28 years. So say 30 years, I have been doing this long distance stuff. So my body doesn't really need a lot of long distance stuff. It already knows how to do that. And being a female, we're already at birth programmed to be better endurance than men. So sprint training, I'll explain where I put it in, but let me just say what Dr. Stacy Sims says. She talks about this top end speed. And really, for us aging females, we need to do this more. And this is my own experiment because I know my body and what's changing. So you can decide yourself. The best type of high intensity interval training for menopause women specifically is super short, sharp sprint style intervals lasting about 30 seconds or less. So 1 to 30 seconds. So 10 to 30 seconds, I would say. When you extend intervals past 60 seconds, you can get greater increases in stress hormone cortisol. Now, you can learn all about cortisol in my book I wrote about 8 years ago now. Life is not a race, it is a journey, is available on Amazon. Why I do what I do. Why I keep getting more education, because cortisol, high cortisol, hyperadrenals, hypoadrenals is low cortisol, hypofunctioning adrenals is really the HPA axis. Hypothalamus talks to pituitary gland, talks to the adrenal gland. But remember, side note, the hypothalamus to pituitary gland also talks to the gonads and thyroid. So any adrenal dysfunction, HPA, is going to also impact the communication of the HP to the A and to the sex hormones. So ovaries, gonads. So you're going to see dysfunction in all hormones when you have this excess cortisol. Okay, so side note, talked about that for years. Cortisol, it's not good or bad. It's the right amount, the Goldilocks effect, okay? So cortisol, Dr. Sims, says cortisol is good for a surge of energy, but you don't want those stress hormone levels to stay elevated longer than necessary to get the job done, especially in menopausal transition time for females when our cortisol can already be elevated. And I think what I've heard is cortisol is more elevated because we're getting stress from our changes of lower hormones and lower progesterone levels and lower estrogen are going to impact. It'll be internal stress going on in our body. So we want to really manage our stress. So we want acute stress, not extended chronic stressors, which can be from a lot of the high volume workouts that we tend to do as endurance athletes. So another reason for the female not to do all the chronic cardio type of workout, because it's not going to help you change your body composition. So you don't want the stress hormone levels to stay elevated longer than necessary to get the job done, she says, especially when cortisol can already be elevated in your menopausal years. I think this goes for anyone with excessive stress in their body. You want the short dose of stress as a sprint interval rather than over a minute. So with sprint intervals, you get the benefits of improved insulin sensitivity. And remember, as our hormones for the female listener gets lower, especially the progesterone, we become more insulin insensitive. So the type of exercise we are doing is improving the muscle health, will help improve our blood glucose management. You'll hear from Dr. Gabrielle Lyon, and the improve insulin sensitivity with the sprint intervals. We also get stronger mitochondria, another key area to aging, as we get with the plyometric training. And with sprint training, you also get improved fat burning, especially deep visceral fat, and even important boost in growth hormone after you finish. So we've heard about Tabatas for many, many years. I remember clients found this out, and they're the first ones to tell me about Tabatas. And real true Tabata is 4 minutes long. Those 4 minutes, you need to warm up and warm down beforehand. But the 4-minute true Tabata is 20 seconds as hard as you can. And then 10 seconds, just pause. 20 seconds, go hard as you can. You do that for ideally 8 times. Maybe start with 5 or 6. And then you continue. But Stacy's in this article saying Tabatas are doing 20 seconds, recover for 10, 6 to 8 times, rest 5 minutes, and work up to doing 2 to 3 rounds. So that's not what Tabata research originally was, but that is what 20-second sprints. Now, I would say if you're doing 20-second sprints, you're doing that, say, so if she's saying 2 to 3 times, you're doing that for no more than 20 minutes total time should be your intervals. But maybe your recovery, if you're doing a true 20-second sprint, no more than 30, your recovery is 90 seconds. So if you listen to my interviews with Daniel Crumbach, we talk about Pinoy metabolic testing that true sprint interval would bring your heart rate up to zone 5. And a true sprint interval, you would come down to zone 1, stay there until you see your heart rate's down in zone 1, which is like 100, 110, and then you're ready to go hard again. So it's also called rest-based training. So you're going hard as you can and you're resting as long as you need to until you see that heart rate down into your zone 1. Then you're ready to go back to zone 5. So you're recovering in between, and that would be your sprint interval training, 30 seconds or less. HIIT training is 30 seconds or more, but no more than 5 minutes. So say it's 1 minute. Now, I was doing 2-minute intervals today to minute 30, and then finishing with about a minute intervals. And then my street to my house is uphill. And so I run backwards. And I actually, this is a really good stack. Side note, I was thinking I had the sun rising. I was running backwards up a hill for recovery, and on my way home to my cool down was going uphill, running uphill. So I had eyes to the exposure to sunrise, and that helps your melatonin production and then in my circadian rhythm. And then I was getting the backwards running for the posterior chain, and I was doing my middle workout. The entree was the sprint intervals. But now I reread this, I shouldn't go over a minute. I should keep my intervals under a minute, not do the 2-3 minute intervals for me, because I'm all about speed. Now, master swimming, we did a lot of 100-meter intervals, and we didn't have, I think, enough recovery. And so this is where you need to be on the same page with your lane mates if you're doing a group workout master swimming, that if you're supposed to do, say we did base pace for 100, and then we did, I don't know, I want to explain it all, but then we did some hundreds that were faster, say on the 125. And I'm not a fast swimmer, but I have to work really hard. Now, for me to go fast again, I can't just rest 5 seconds, because as I just said, you're not bringing the heart rate back down to zone 1 so you can go hard again. So if someone's doing a focused workout, swim, bike, or run, that should be, the focus is 20 minutes of interval training, warm up, warm down. Those intervals need to be zone 4, zone 5, back to zone 1. Go back up, go back down. Not this come down for like 5 seconds and go again. That's not true interval training. And you actually see what happened today. People were getting tired and they were not hitting the times anymore, and they're going slower, not faster. But if we did it appropriately with the right rest-based training, I think people could have finished the workout and gone faster at the finish if we've had enough recovery. And then when you're doing speed work, when you say, like here the article says, Tabatas, do 6 to 8 times, rest 5 minutes, work up to 2 to 3 times, 2 to 3 more rounds of this 20 seconds hard. So if you're pacing yourself when you are getting slower, not faster, or you're not holding that time, if you're watching your pace, that's when you call it good. Wrap it up and warm down. So don't push past fatigue and your quality is crap. And so you need to remember quality over quantity. Keep saying that. Okay, so that's some information on my blogs. I put all this together, which some of it's hard to read, but that's why I record a podcast on it. So how can you gain more strength now? Good article on how we can improve strength in endurance sports. Found an article on that. Building muscle after menopause, some information on there, lifting weights, and that was a good article by Deborah Atkinson's been focusing on this aging athlete, and then triathlon training and what strength to do. So been looking at all that. So if you want more specific what exercises to do as you get into your resistance training, let me know. I do right workouts for people, trying to figure out what is best for them based on their life schedule, and look at your ideal week and month. And then I write it month by the month, and then people work with me for 6 months. And then each month we'll have a call, but every week I will review your workouts on Training Peaks and give comments. So something I've been doing. All right, so I just wanted to add more specific things on how you can choose to improve your body composition, but how you are training. So changing how you train, instead of doing the high volume workout, get in that strength training, resistance training 2 to 4 times a week, adding in that plyometric within that workout. And then I guess I didn't say the HIIT training or sit training for women. We want to keep that 30-second sprints, or other people can do the HIIT, the 1 to 4 minute, no more than 5 minutes, and then recovery-based training before you do the next speed all-out interval. I've been doing that in my bike, run, swim workouts, and leaving my gym workouts to be the plyometrics and balance and core work and mobility in there when I do the resistance heavy strength training. So lifting heavy stuff. And then I like to go outside until the winter comes. And then if it's darker, I'll do some bike intervals, indoor trainer. But I like to be outside.
That's why I moved to San Diego from Seattle. I like being outside. Swimming is amazing. And then I like to bike outside a couple days, and maybe that will change as the weather gets darker. And maybe the bike workouts will be indoor trainer bikes, doing some intervals within my strength training. Then I'll get my heart rate. I have to go 150 to 170 is my hard, and then recover. And then my running, it's easy for me to get my heart rate up if it's a slight hill. And I've been warming up, warmed down. If it's running from my house, or I go down the hills like Hodges trails, or running Solana Beach, Torrey Pines, somewhere over there that there's some incline that helps me get the heart rate up. So that's how I do my sprint training and how I add in my resistance training. I don't have kids, so my schedule might be easier than yours to fit it in, but I am an early bird. We work out, lift weights, and then go for a run. So going to the gym, and then I swim 3 days masters at lunchtime. So I have to time my nutrition and get some strategic carb timing in there and work on my recovery so I can go again. Then also looking at my heart rate variability and knowing like hormones when I take a rest day and skip it, swimming as I did yesterday, and listen to my body. So prioritizing sleep, nutrition, fueling before, in and around your workouts, helping that recovery, and then really nailing those key workouts, getting rid of the garbage stuff that doesn't really help you. So those are my thoughts I wanted to add on. So now this is a really long podcast, but sorry. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Let me know what you want me to dive into more on the next one. Thanks. Have a great day.
Thanks for listening to the Low Carb Athlete Podcast. If you have any questions, feedback, or topic suggestions, let us know on Facebook or at debbiepotts.net. You can help us continue and grow by leaving a review on iTunes. Thanks again, and see you next time.